Publishers are getting what they f***ing deserve. Ooh, oops. This is the beginning of a YouTube video. Publishers are getting what they deserve.
Thank you.
Developers are striking against brutal mismanagement over in France because Spiders and Kiloton are taking on the perennial games industry villain Nacon. Man, Nacon blow. And hey, Nacon are also the people that published Lord of the Rings Gollum. Then layoffs are hitting Rocksteady because Suicide Squad did not hit sales expectations. Over at NetEase, they're basically speedrunning the entire process because most of the team behind
Is this the new game Visions of Mana?
Wait. Mana, we're actually gone for a release.
I actually heard a lot of really good things about this game. Visions of Mana seems to be a good game. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play it.
Changing up the strategy. And finally, it would not be a video about mismanagement unless we talked about our good friends over at Activision. And that's because Raven Software's QA union, well, they certainly think things aren't going well, and they're filing complaints against both Activision and Microsoft. So let's kick it off with Spiders and Kiloton versus Nacon.
By the way, I don't know why, but like the picture of that guy really reminded me. Whenever I saw Titus from Space Marine 2, I was thinking to myself, oh my god, Henry Cavill could play Titus from Space Marine 2 1-to-1. It's like the character was based off of it. It was actually crazy.
And Microsoft. So let's kick it off with Spiders and Kiloton versus Nacon. That's a bunch of names you may not know, but Greedfall, I think badass. So Greedfall 2 is launching this month, and well, it's not really looking great because the devs at Spiders are this Monday. Now this all began with distributed this week by French Labour Union, and to sit I'll just abbreviate it to SPP. So it was signed by 43 out of the 95 staff of Spiders. That's basically right? And it's basically detailing a bunch of events and summarizing low wages, mismanagement, and unsupported scaling of production. That's basically because they're around.
I wonder if that seems crazy. I wonder if that's a unique thing.
They're expected to do 2 games. They've also had no transparency for management and planning, failures to protect or hire women, and all this stuff is of Greedfall 2. To do a quote, I mean, this is rough. Quote, the production is underwater, accumulating burnout and other psychosocial risk factors, and the workers fear they won't be able to be proud of their work when the game is released.
Oh, they probably won't be. I looked at the game and I saw some of the demos for it. It looked like dog shit. Yeah, I could easily see Greedfall be Greedfail. Easily, yeah.
People have left Spiders during the production, and others have no intention of staying after the game's release. So that's fairly brutal. Also, that's not really going to inspire people to pick up the early access of that Greedfall 2.
Oh no, I don't agree with Belure on this. I think that if I heard that the next game that was as good as Elden Ring required human sacrifices in order for the Divine God game designers to, you know, be inspired by the eldritch beings that they're trying to commune with through the flesh of the people that they're sacrificing, and then I saw that the game was really good, I'd still buy it. I would buy it. I'd buy it. I don't care about what's happening at the company. I don't care about any of this. That has no relevance to me whatsoever. All I care about is the product. Give me the good product. You want to abuse the employees? Okay, fine. There's slaves in the cobalt mines making the phone. I love this phone. There's fucking, you know, like third world laborers making my clothes. Okay, good. Maybe give them a peanut, and that way they won't die so they can make another one tomorrow. Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Give me the product. Allow me to consume. I don't want to think about it. I don't care about it. That's it. I don't care. Yep, there it is. And by the way...
Again, do remember that this field is wholly owned by Nacon. That is, of course, the general part of the already saying Nacon that will never escape the Lord of the Rings Gollum. Now, Greedfall 2, this is all pretty damn relevant because the game's launched in early access. It's weird because it's early access, it's got an entirely new combat model, and of course with it being early access, I mean that's an entire development structure that is means that the works like halfway done, like the game. It doesn't sound like what they would ideally do because ideally, you know, you release your game when it's done. So I'm personally worried that the production being a step. Not a whole bunch of expectations for release and the early access, perhaps.
This game looks like garbage. Nobody's gonna buy this and play this crap. Nothing but like. How do you get this far into the game and like you don't ask yourself what the fuck am I doing?
Instead of doing like ideally a launch, which is probably what they would want to do. So essentially staff have got no hope that things will get better in short, medium, or long term. And they then say that the whole situation is made worse by basically viewing small changes whenever the leadership of Spiders do not agree. So
what a surprise.
To Insider Gaming, the falsity and infantry accusations made by the union in no way reflect the reality of the day-to-day working life of the company's employees and are an attack on the reputation of the studio, whose teams are fully mobilized to produce quality games and enthusiastically ensure the early access release of Greedfall 2. So that's a firm denial. That being said, I mean,
I feel bad for them because like they're gonna release a game and like that game looked like it probably cost a like 8-figure amount of money to make, like at least $10 million plus. There's no way they're making that money back on the game. That's it. And it's crazy because like you can see it and it's like the game is it's action combat hard pass. It's not even action. It's like this weird mix of the two.
Enthusiastically ensure the early access release.
Well, again, I've always said that I'm pro-choice, and sometimes some things do need to be aborted. And, you know, like, if, you know, it has something wrong with it, the game has something wrong with it, like, there's, like, some major thing that the game should have, but it doesn't have, wouldn't it just be better to abort the game and save everyone else the pain? You know? It probably just doesn't appeal to you.
Going on strike is not that.
You're right, it doesn't.
I mean, you could say that them going on strike does show that they have enthusiasm in getting the game out, that they actually care, and that's why they're going on strike, rather than just checking out internally, shipping stuff they're not proud of, and then leaving as soon as they can. Generally, right, you're going to take the risk of going on strike because they actually do want to make the situation better. They probably do want to deliver a great game for their players. Yeah. So a firm denial coming here from the studio. But what's taking this beyond just a simple dispute with that studio's leadership is that the problems are kind of beyond the studio. It seems the problems are actually with the corporate owner, Nacon, or at least are an addition to problems at Nacon, and that's because...
Well, here's what's crazy about it, is like all of the problems that they're describing are problems that are systemic inside of the entire industry. So it's not like they have some sort of unique problem. No, everybody has this issue.
Of Test Drive Unlimited. You might remember Test Drive Unlimited released ages ago. I remember playing a hell of a lot of that as a kid. So it's being developed by a company called Kiloton, and they're also a subsidiary under Nacon, and they've actually joined the strike. And with Kiloton staff, it seems to be a similar story where they've been making demands for a while, but they've basically been told that they can't, you know, don't make demands, don't talk, don't do anything. You'll upset the rest of the group. That has backfired. Here's a quote. If no improvement in our working conditions is offered because it would drive other studios within the group to ask for the same, it stands to reason that we make those demands together. So for Nacon, they have basically let these problems like bubble to the point where the studios are joining.
See, back in the day, what we used to do was like there were these like events, for example, and so like there'd be like nobody wanted to mine coal. So what they would do is they'd pay these guys to just go and shoot a few of the people at the strike, and then everybody else would start working. Yeah, and so they might have to get back to basics. Yeah, and by the way, Pinkertons they're still around. They're still around. Who used the Pinkertons? Who was it? Oh fuck! There was a video game that was released early. Which game was it? Wizards of the Coast. Yes. Wizards of the Coast hired the Pinkertons to shut somebody down last year. It was over Magic the Gathering.
And this is with 2 games that are coming out this month. And
Yep.
I mean, as I'm sure you may be aware, whenever a game comes out, often quite a lot of work needs to be done. Now, Nacon have got a history of pissing everybody off, like developers, players, everyone. As an example, do you remember the whole story with Frogwares over the sinking city? There's stuff with paranoia, happiness is mandatory, being pulled from sale because the album will be DMCA'd quality, and then with the release of Blood Bowl 3. Basically, its release was a shit show, and its monetization is a shit show. That really sucks because Blood Bowl, while it's not have its niche of fans, and they start doing lots of bullshit. So the common theme in all of these is Nacon, and that basically is. Now there are 2 games coming out this month, and
I think we're running into like a very big existential problem that video games are becoming so big that they're viewed as products by investment firms and capital raising groups that don't fully understand how to market the product in a good way. And so you have this huge disconnect where you have people that are like, because if you look at a lot of the old video games, it was a few dorks that came together to make a game, right? And even now, it's still just a few dorks that come together to make a game. But it's harder for that outcome to happen. And I think what we're seeing happen now is that, you know, you see these really big investment firms that are putting in, like, they're having funds for gaming that are in, like, the hundreds of millions of dollars. And some of the guys that work there are actually, like, incredibly smart and really tuned in. But some of the people that maybe they work for or that make decisions above them, they're not. And I think that video games are kind of getting movie treatment right now, where like video games are being treated like blockbuster movies, so you're seeing less risks be taken. And unfortunately, Concord is an example of a risk that was taken that failed. So what's ended up happening is that you have these huge studios that are getting these massive amounts of investments. They're being pushed in a direction that they're not comfortable going in. And they make a bad game, and now the product, the user, is getting bad games, right? And like, we get more good games now than we ever have, in my opinion. I think it's the best time to be a video gamer is, well, it was in 2004, but the second best time to be a video gamer is right now. Like, absolutely. This is an amazing time for games. However, like, it also is the worst time because they're making so much money now that they're being invested in by people that don't understand the nuances of the industry.
Far from teams that are striking. So I'm sure that will go well for them. Now, a quick pause. This isn't a sponsor. Here's the deal. I want to build something here that is bigger than myself and that is not tied to the bloody algorithm, and that is why Valuelure.games exists. It's our site, you know, it's not Patreon, it's our site, and over there one of the things that we do is loading screen. It's our daily newsletter, and honestly, it's goddamn class. The guys work really hard to make it the best thing that it can be. Yep. And over there, you basically get everything you can trust. It keeps you in the loop of what's actually coming out, what's actually happening in gaming. And over there, in addition to loading screen, you also get access to all of our reports and our research early, like often before I even I'm doing, like, you know, seeing the stuff for videos. So you get that before I even do, and you also get our videos ad-free, often as well as over in Discord, which is just a lovely place to hang out. I want to build something that lasts, that can be your companion in gaming, and
I'm glad to see, though, you were trying to do something that's like a news place for people to find information about video games. I think that video game journalism right now is, like, there is a place for video game journalism. It's just that the way that it exists right now, the traditional business model of online journalism is really just the traditional business model of journalism and newspapers, but everything is online instead of not. I think that a lot of people out there want to be able to read and know and get information about games, but there are all of the platforms that are out there right now that are compromised to a degree that people don't trust.
So, that's I suppose that's the pitch. That's what's going on.
Yep.
With that said, it's time to talk about Warner Brothers and Rocksteady. So back in June, there were reports that Warner Brothers had no plans to close Rocksteady, which certainly is a good thing, and apparently they were making use of them in a director's cut of Hogwarts Legacy. So it seems to me that they didn't really have an immediate next thing for some of their staff to do. I don't know, maybe they pared back some expectations for what live service stuff would be for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So maybe
they had to, because the game was dying. I mean, it's like you're making updates and cinematics and gameplay for 150 people. Like, I mean, really, like at that point, and like also, it's fine if you're doing that if you're like 3 guys, right? You have a small studio, but when you have a massive like multi-million-dollar like investment into this, and it's not going that way, yeah, there's no way.
With that, they put people on the Hogwarts. Now, 2 months later, just in time for the Q3 earnings report to be compiled, well, Rocksteady are holding staff. They're not closing the studio, but they are laying off staff. This is captured by Eurogamer. So, poor sales of Suicide Squad have led to the studio's QA part being reduced from 33 to 15, with other staff at all levels of seniority being impacted across the company, and at least one individual was let go in the middle of their paternity leave. Big surprise. Requested to remain anonymous told Eurogamer that the loss of so many roles in the QA department, including team members with specialized knowledge, would leave the remaining knowledge short what it would work. And there has been acknowledgement by the senior staff that product quality would now suffer as a result. So that's cool.
I think that's what's going to happen. But the issue is that, like, I think QA for video games has been bad for a long time. So I think the problem is that going public with these types of issues, like games nowadays, a lot of them, and I know why. I mean, it's because there's more variables. But at the same time, it's like it's hard. We need it though, yeah. But like, so if the companies don't need to pay for early access anymore. Or sorry, excuse me, I got ahead of myself. The companies don't need to pay for quality assurance anymore because the players pay them for it. It's called early access. So now you have players that are paying money in order to play the game early so they can fix the bugs before the game actually gets fully released. It's insane.
Now, the thing with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is that actually sold better than P3 Persona 3 Reload. It sold better than Stellar Blade even, and other titles that have been seen as commercial successes. So it's not likely as compared to the amount of money that they poured into that game for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's simple. It's like, let's say you make a video game, and the video game makes $90, but it cost $150. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, we've got a bit of a problem here, don't we?
This is a game that was thought by Warner Bros. And Rocksteady to basically be big bucks. You know, how that being a Destiny-like live service cash cow for the next decade. But of course, they were wrong. Wrong in that big bet.
They weren't wrong. They were greedy and delusional. They saw money and they went after the money instead of making a product that was good. That's the reason why it happened. Why does the game look so bad? The game looks like it's going to give me a visual migraine.
It's the game that was out of date by the time of its launch that had so many...
Look at this. This is awful.
Incorrect assumptions built into its design and development, which is the whole plan, that now Rocksteady have had to be cut. And that means they've lost a wealth of experience. Experience that could be used to either help to try to salvage that game or, you know, make the next thing something that is worthy of Rocksteady's lineage.
And also, like, I'm very much not of the belief that all of the people that are working on QA know what they're doing. Like, as somebody who, like, I've sent in multiple tickets to WoW GMs and they've given me wrong answers on things and been stupid. So, like, I think there's probably, the same as any job, there's going to be a spectrum of some people that know what they're doing and some people that are, like, dumb. Yeah, it's the same spectrum with anything.
Who's trying to back to Japanese games and basically forming games as a part of their storytelling strategy to put games out. For a long time, it seems like they're just trying to spread their wings more like, outside of China. A lot of people that they sort of saw regulation coming on the horizon and they thought, look, we should be global in our investments, so that even if things domestically go a little bit bad, we'll be okay.
That's
and we'll be able to make a lot of profits.
Of course.
Now, Visions of Mana is a result of that whole thing. It released to an 85% positive rating in Steam, 77 on OpenCritic, so is it setting the world alight? No, but it's absolutely...
That's pretty good, man. Like, that's, for me, as somebody who grew up playing Secret of Mana, I would be like, yeah, I absolutely want to try this game. Absolutely want to play this game, 100%. FYI, DMs don't exist anymore. There are no more DMs. You know what the funny thing is? Anybody that plays WoW knows. Yeah, it's been like that for like 10 years. Everybody knows that. But yeah, I'm gonna play this game. It's probably gonna be an off-stream game, but I'll play it.
Good game. It was set up by NetEase in 2020 with the whole purpose being to take veteran Japanese talent and put them to work. Big surprise. It's also their last effort because for Lucas Studios has got almost all staff, and that's ahead of a full closure.
That's sad.
So damn. The game isn't even out yet. The team's been gutted, and the news broke the day after the launch. Wow. Certainly, I mean, look, Visions of Mana is still there. You can buy it, you can play it. It is a good game. But I think for a lot of people, you know, the studios died, like, as a game game.
I think that's true. Yeah, people kind of feel like there's no future for it, so it's not worth getting invested in.
It's really not about that game or that studio. It rather seems to be NetEase restructuring their Japanese plans, because initially it seemed they wanted to do big premium efforts, I guess tap into some of that Square-like energy. But 4 years in, it basically just seems the juice isn't really worth the squeeze there. They're changing tack, changing strategy. And I guess if you're NetEase and you're pouring so much money into Japan, it must feel a bit strange when, say, Black Myth Wukong comes out and does absolutely amazingly. Now,
I don't think that you should try to make games for different regions. I think that you should just try to make, like, I feel like in the same way that there are millions of dudes in South America playing Wukong, millions of dudes in Japan probably playing Wukong, millions of dudes in China, a lot of dudes in China playing Wukong. Everybody's playing this game thinking it's badass. And the same thing is true with Elden Ring. I guarantee you, you go down to Brazil, tons of fans of Elden Ring. Go to Japan, tons of Elden Ring fans. China, people love Elden Ring. Absolutely. Just make a good game. Like, if you try to make games for certain regions, I think that that's just silly. Like, I actually don't think that gaming is as regional. Like, so there are regional elements of gaming. Like, for example, monetization and platform are regional. So, for example, in South America and in China, mobile gaming is really popular for a number of different reasons. Some of them are social, some are economic, it doesn't really matter. But there are some reasons why that is. But in terms of game quality itself, you're going to have games that are going to pop off no matter what. Like, if it's a really good game, people are going to play it no matter where. I think that's true for very popular games. Some more niche games can be more regional. Yeah, I think so. But I also think that niche games can sometimes... I feel like the best example of this is Baldur's Gate 3. Is that Baldur's Gate 3 was a very niche game. For what it is, a CRPG? What the fuck? Like, what year is this? 1998? But the game came out, and it was, like, the biggest game ever. Like, for the entire year, basically. And so, I actually don't think that the genre matters all that much, but you're right that it does make a difference. The game sold more than Final Fantasy 16? Well, of course it did. What a surprise. So yeah, I think that really, you shouldn't try to focus on making games for certain regions.
It seems about
and if you do, you should make sure the game is good first.
Outside of China, And it's sold well outside of China. It's obviously sold incredibly well in China. And it's also proved something.
As a frame of reference for the success of Black Myth Wukong, is that even outside of all sales inside of China, Black Myth Wukong has outsold Dragon's Dogma 2 by over 1 million copies already.
It's proved that the games industry in China has matured to the point where people can leave the big companies, form a studio, and then make a proper, like, AAA blockbuster game. That's exactly what Black Myth Wukong was able to do. So it could be the case that NetEase have kind of realized...
I mean, this is... I think that we are actually going into a new golden age of games. I've said this before, but, like, right now, we've had so many incredible games get released, and I think that with the tools that developers have, especially smaller scale developers have, we are going into a literal fucking golden age. And I feel like we've already been in it. Like, think about all the amazing games we've got in the last few years. Especially the last 2 years. It's been insane. So yeah, I think it's just going to continue getting better. And yeah, you obviously, like, you're going to have duds. Like, but you've always had duds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you go back and you look at the Nintendo 64, like, game catalog, a lot of the games weren't very good. But, like, I feel like we're getting a lot of hits nowadays. I think we're getting more duds, and we're getting even more hits.
Hang on a second. Some of our fears of regulation, or maybe, maybe things aren't going to go in that bad way.
Yeah.
We've just seen Black Myth Wukong. Why not form some of these studios at home? I mean, as an example, Game Science, who are the developer behind Black Myth Wukong, of course, Black Myth is like the overall series, so there's going to be more Black Myth games, and this definitely means that I suppose that the Black Myth franchise is off to an absolute, like, you could not think of a more stellar start for a franchise. Well, that was a bunch of people that were...
Well, the game plays well. I mean, I don't think people understand the importance of playability with a game. Like, playability is what it's all about. Like, if it doesn't... Like, there are a lot of games, like, for example, like Armored Core 6, the playability of that game is just fucking astonishing. Black Myth Hercules game? Honestly... They will never do this. I want Black Myth Cortez. Hernan Cortez. I do. That would go so far. Oh my god. As a Spaniard myself, I approve, yeah. So imagine. Oh my god. So Hernan Cortez was a conquistador. He came over with the Spanish, and was it the Mayans or Incas or Aztec? I forgot which one. This dude, like, burned his ships so the people couldn't leave. He was sailing back to Spain with his wife and his mistress on the same boat. Like, he kidnapped, I think, the daughter of one of the kings. Like, this dude was basically, Arthas, but in real life. And the thing is that, and here's the word, there were mutineers against him. This dude had, like, literal fucking plot armor. They were having a mutiny against him, and when he came back from, I guess Spain, I don't remember exactly, like, what the details were, but when he came back from wherever he was at, I think it was Spain, all the mutineers just died from disease. Like, actual fucking plot armor. Can you imagine that? Yeah. But, like, if you want to talk myths, like, which myths would I want to see? Hercules would be a really, really big one. I would love to see Hercules, and I'm trying to think... I don't know enough about this, but I know enough to be intrigued by it. I think Indra from, like, Hindu mythology would be a really interesting character too. King Arthur? And no. I actually think an Odyssey movie. Man. Gilgamesh, yeah. That would go so fucking hard. But I do think it would be cool if they explored, like, I personally would want them to explore non-Western ones, because I've seen a lot of Western permutations, and I like the escapism of being able to see Journey to the West, because I'm just not familiar with it. Quetzalcoatl?
You know that Quetzalcoatlus is actually the largest. There were real ones like that. They were called that. I guess they named it after the
This. Yeah, it's a real bird. It could eat a person, like. No way.
Look it up.
Working on a Journey to the West MMO for Tencent. They left Tencent, and oh look, they've had an app.
Bro, wait, this is the most fucked up first chat that I've ever seen in my life. Are y'all ready? That's some fucked up shit, man. Whoa.
Absolutely humongous success. And funnily enough, a success that Tencent themselves then decided to invest in. So I guess seeing that, means you're probably thinking, hang on a second, we should do some of that. We've actually paid for and cultivated loads of talent at home. Maybe they've realized that they just don't have to be making the sorts of games that they were making. So that might explain the strategy.
100%. I think that, like I can't speak for anybody else, but, like, for me as a Western gamer, I see no difference in consuming content from a Chinese studio than an American studio. Like, if a Chinese studio makes a really good game, I'm gonna play the game. I don't care. It's like if it comes from Berlin, you know, Korea, China, Brazil, you know, I don't know, like fucking California. I don't care. I just want to play a game. I just want to play a good game. That's it.
But obviously, if you were on the Visions of Mana development team,
Black Myth Jesus,
yeah, that's not really going to be any form of, you know, thing to make you feel good about what happened. The next and final story for today's video, then, is Activision, Microsoft, and Raven Software. Basically, the staff at the Raven Software QA union are saying that Activision and Microsoft just are not taking them seriously. Now, to get you up to speed in the story, basically, Raven QA voted to unionize in May of 2022. This was the first but smallest of the Activision unions, and, of course, that then, you know...
I think that the unions are too slow. I do. I think that the unions haven't been proactive enough in protecting themselves